Lauren, let me start with you. Police are saying apparent natural causes, but others are saying apparent drug overdose. The girl had a history, right?
Well, yeah. Well, first of all, she also had a history of diabetes, and she had been in diabetic comas before. So that's where everything gets a little gray. And her girlfriend, actually her fiance, Tila Tequila, has said from an anonymous source that she thinks that she used way too many prescription drugs. So they're saying, police are saying it's natural causes, but we won't know till toxicology report gets back, and that's going to take a few weeks.
That'll take weeks. And what about the autopsy? That's coming when? Today, tomorrow?
Yeah, those reports will probably come back in a few days, depending on when their family says that they can perform an autopsy. We don't know when that's going to be. I would say a couple of weeks. But this is a woman who, on paper, had it all, Joy. She was the heiress to the Johnson & Johnson family. She was beautiful, but she did have erratic, crazy behavior going on, and so no one really knows right now.
It reminds me of the Brittany Murphy story very much, doesn't it to you?
Absolutely. A lot of similarities. In fact, both of them had struggled with prescription drug problems, and they both struggled with their weight. You know, there's just a couple of the similarities between these stories, yeah.
And they both have this history of diabetes, allegedly. That was another thing that was similar. I mean, you knew the girl.
I did.
Tell me what you knew about her personally.
She was one of the saddest girls I've ever met, and I don't mean that in a negative way. She had everything that should have made her happy.
She was a very wealthy girl.
And beautiful.
And pretty, very
beautiful
pretty,
girl, and smart. She was not a stupid girl. What she had was that awful attitude of, so what, like, everything I do, nothing can be bigger than what my family did. So she almost was like cursed by this family name and this family fortune, and she would call me when she was in town to have dinner, and she really didn't know me that well, but there was nobody else there. Like, she really was by herself.
I was just reading that they didn't find her body for several days.
And that's right. A maid found it. Like, her maid found it, and then the police are saying that she might have been dead for a few days. And everyone's asking, well, why didn't her fiancé? Where was her fiancé? Well, they were allegedly fighting. So Tila Tequila hadn't spoken to her in a few days, and she said that her phone was off. So that's why they're saying that no one knew she was dead.
She was engaged to reality star Tila Tequila.
But she also grew up being alone. She was most comfortable by herself. Like, she knew how to be alone. She didn't know how to have friends. She didn't know how to have...
What do you make of this?
I look at it as somebody who has been through rehab time and time again, and the stories coming out of the press today say that her family had started to try tough love. They'd had consequences. We're going to have no contact with you unless you go back to rehab. And I think that's a mistake that a lot of families do. They say, hey, we're not going to talk to you ever again, and they walk away. My approach is we invite them into a family meeting, and that we try to use love as the motivator. I think that's a much better motivator.
It's rather cold thing to do, to just walk away from a girl in trouble.
That's the prevailing wisdom is families, you know, they ask somebody to accept help, and when the person says no, they say, okay, we have to go to consequences right now, and they say, so often, I will never talk to you again unless you do what I tell you to do, and then they walk away.
She has a strange history of behavior, though. She, besides being in and out of rehab, she was arrested for breaking into her ex's home. She set a girlfriend's hair on fire. That's a tip-off.
Yeah, but
her mother took custody of Casey's adopted daughter. She was cut off from her parents' fortune for reportedly not re-entering rehab, but she still was going to get money, wasn't she?
She got money from her family. I don't think it was the amount that people assume she got there. There was an enormous amount of money in this family. They gave her an allowance each month. I don't know how much she got. You know, I know
Trust funds.
She did, you guys, she did have, access to everything. She just talked about it in a recent Vanity Fair article, but she said she hated having it all because she felt like she couldn't do anything on her own. She said, and I kind of quoting here, you know, how many times can you go shopping? And it makes me feel so empty that I'm not doing anything. And another thing, she says her biggest regret in her entire life was not doing the simple life with Paris Hill. And you have to remember, this is one of Paris's best friend, and went to Casey first to ask her if she wanted to be on it. And Casey said she didn't want to. And I think, you know, she's regretted that from the day that she said no.
But I think she regrets it for the wrong reason. I think she regrets it because Paris at one point felt lost too. And I think through fame, Paris found an outlet. Paris found something to do. Nicole Richie found it through her kids and her husband. Casey never found an outlet. She never found a hobby. She never found, even if her hobby was herself, which I think Paris might be.
Hobby is fame herself.
But Casey had no
and her
hobby.
Puppy, her little dog she carries around.
I think, though, if you look at people that, a through line of people that are addicted is often crisis. And, like, I was an addict for many, many years before I got clean and sober.
What were you on?
Alcohol, crystal meth, cocaine, 2 packs of cigarettes a day. You know, I was sick. And there were always chaotic things happening in my life. And since I got clean and sober, I've never lit anybody's hair on fire. And so those are wake-up calls. Those can serve as wake-up calls for family members.
Yes.
You know, when these chaotic things are happening to somebody that they love.
What happens?
Right, but you can't blame it.
Tell me about the daughter, Lauren, or either one.
No, Lauren.
Tell me about the child.
I'm not blaming them.
Okay, so
he's not in the blame game.
Right, no,
he's in the rehab
game. But I
game.
feel bad for the family as well. You know, they've lost their daughter, and you know, it's hard to say, you know, what was the right path and what was the wrong path.
Well,
I'm sure her family did absolutely everything they could to save her. It just may not have been, you know, the one that worked for her.
She once described her family's money as golden handcuffs.
She told me that once we were at
That's
dinner.
a very creative way to describe things.
I was shocked,
like a very
but this shows you this
girl.
wasn't a stupid girl.
Yeah.
This was a smart girl who just hadn't found what she was looking for. But when she said it was the golden handcuffs, I asked her, what do you mean? And she said, I live in the lap of luxury, but it's a prison.
She was alone for the holidays, too.
Totally.
Tell me about her daughter. I want to hear about the child for a minute.
Eva Monroe, she had a 2-year-old daughter that she adopted. However, you know, reports are that Casey's mother actually got custody of the daughter because she was worried that Casey was doing too many drugs. And that's, you know, so reports are that the daughter is with Casey's mother and has been for a while.
How did Casey react to the mother taking over the child?
I don't know. I know that when she got the daughter, she said it was the happiest day of her life. She and her friends assumed that this would be the one thing she needed in her life, something to do, someone to love, someone to look after. The problem is Casey had never been given those skills. She'd never learned how to be a mother.
But
a lot of people are in that position, Rob.
Yeah, but so many times
It's not pretty
I see addicted
either.
moms that will say, my child is the most important thing in my life.
Yeah.
But yet it's very far down on the hierarchy.
Yet they neglect it.
Yeah.
At
It's
the
not
same
the
time
skills,
that they're
it's
so
when-
important.
Agreed.
Go ahead, Lauren.
No, it's not the skills. I mean, your parenting skills. I mean, you have a baby and you don't know what to do. But it's if you're doing drugs and alcohol, then you really don't have the capability to take care of a child. And
But also, if you've been neglected and ignored as a
Right.
child
I don't think
yourself,
it's the
you're
drug and
not
the
going to be a
alcohol.
very good mother yourself.
I think it's the money. I think it's the money. It's not the drugs. It's not the alcohol. She had too much money.
Yeah,
And
but you know what? A lot of people have a lot of money, Robin. They don't get into this position.
Well,
people
but I find
born
that-
into that wealth? I don't know many people that were born into the Johnson & Johnson wealth.
She
I
has
don't.
siblings. Doesn't she have siblings?
But a lot of people who
Are they
addicted-
drug addicts? No. So you see, there's your argument right out the window, Rob.
A lot of people have a lot
True.
of
I
denial.
mean, look at her father. Her father's the owner of the Jets, and he was born into the Johnson
right.
& Johnson family.
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
Ivanka Trump,
Right.
rather, is
Right.
a great
Yes. No
girl.
point taken.
She's,
Right.
you know what I mean? It's not
It's
necessarily
not
the
always
money.
hereditary.
No. The money
But
is
I
not
will
the
say
issue.
that oftentimes I'll see with people that have a lot of money or at the top of the food chain that they not only have denial, but they also have the enabling behavior all around them. They don't have really anybody that's saying no to them.
That's
And you
true,
have to
too.
remember, this is a woman who just recently got engaged to Tila Tequila, you know, a reality star that's known for being, you know, sexually
Rowdy.
out there, you might want to say. And actually, there's a tweet from her. I don't know if you guys want to.
Oh, yes, I have it. I'm going to read it for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
She tweeted on her Twitter account, "Everyone, please pray for my wifey, Casey Johnson. She has passed away. Thank you all for your love and support, but I will be offline to be with my family." There's something strange about that.
There is something strange. The rumours already is that she's saying wifey, and I don't know if this is true or not,
Wifey,
but the
but
rumours
this-
is because she wants to be part of whatever might be left, is what people are saying out
Oh,
there. I don't know
boy.
how truthful that is, but if this is her wife, and there's an awful lot of money
Doesn't
here,
Tila have her own money?
I don't think she has Casey Johnson money.
No, well, no one does.
She doesn't, but Joy, there's actually another one, that the most recent tweet was, she said, "R.I.P. my angel. You will forever be in my heart. I love you so much, and we will marry when I see you in heaven, my wifey."
You know, it's sort of like the Twitter is taking the place of an obituary now, you know? And there's something so... I think it's strange. I'm sorry. It's my opinion. I'm entitled to my opinion.
I'm with you on that one,
I think
though. I'm a little bit-
it's weird and it's self-serving and it becomes about the person who's doing the tweeting rather than the person who has passed away.
Yeah,
Well, but if there can be a takeaway from this, I think it's that we start talking again about things that families can do. You know, because here was a girl that lived with family nearby, and she was just isolated, living in squalor.
Yeah.
You know, family didn't know what to do.